What's going on today, guys? Welcome back to an episode of WNN. I'm your host, Shadowban Beats, and I got a lot of things lined up for you today. We'll be talking about FL Studio Beta, Waves Online Mastering, new plugins, and a bunch of other dumb shit. Let's talk about the music production news. In our first story, we'll be talking about the FL Studio Beta. I must have dementia or something, because I could have sworn we talked about this pretty recently. Well, everyone else is talking about it, and I like speaking. The last time I mentioned the beta, I talked about the FL Studio Cloud and how you could download free samples and loops from FL Studio's online cloud service. Eventually, there will be paid content on there as well too once they finish it. They have also added FL Studio Cloud Mastering too. I know, absolutely disgusting. FL Studio Cloud is ImageLine's attempt at becoming Splice and Lander at the same time. I remember people mentioning before, when is the FL Studio Battle Pass coming? Yeah, apparently they were listening. They did make it thoroughly clear though in their forum posts that they will always be a one-time purchase, lifetime free update company. Hope they keep it that way, huh? Now I mentioned the stem separation before the last time I talked about this, so feel free to check that out if you'd like to. I'm not gonna lie, Ableton's got to step their game up. They still are fixing their patches from when they broke it when they released a push. Not a good look, man. Our shit barely works and they're over here dropping new features for free. Ugh. At this point, I'm afraid of the next time Ableton drops an update. I'm gonna be honest, I go to sleep every night and pray to Rick Rubin to fix our DAWs. Please, Rick Rubin, don't make me have to go to Reaper. I will if I have to. Okay, anyways, get your shit together, Weaver. So people are acting like the FL Studio stem separation is the greatest thing ever. Personally, it's alright. I mean, I don't know. How often are you separating stems that you need it like that? I mean, yeah, it could save you a few seconds here and there because you're not gonna have to switch apps really quickly. All I know is I'm not playing the clip again in this video. I am not gonna get copyright owned. They also have Kepler coming in the beta, which is the Juno 6 recreation. I'm not gonna lie, FL Studio is 360 dunking on other DAWs right now. They don't even need to add a new plugin. Okay, in our next story here, I have an extremely strong suspicion that my last video was shadow banned. And I don't say that lightly. Normally when people say, oh, I'm shadow banned, I'm like, you just posted cringe, man. That sucked. That's why people don't like it. Yeah, no, but in my last video, I talked about how a huge label is stealing an R-word's money. No, not the one people call a slur, and not the one that rhymes with racist. I heard before that you shouldn't mention a certain country on YouTube, and I'm starting to see the effects of that, I think. The video got 50% of the views it normally gets. I think it was a really good video. I think a lot of people would have been interested in it. My whole point is make sure to go check it out if you haven't. It's the last video I posted. It's called This Huge Label is Stealing Music or something like that. Okay, moving on. Just wanted to do a quick public service announcement here. Watch my video. Speaking of online mastering, we have another online mastering service. Yeah, I know. Who would have thought? Who would have guessed it? You might have seen me talk about this on my second channel already, if you haven't, but we need to talk about this today because they paid me to. Can you imagine? Imagine they paid me to talk about this and this is the way I do them. Okay, essentially Waves released their own version of Lander, except worse in my opinion. Now the main way I see it being worse is there's no control over the loudness, and they say it's because they don't want to contribute to the loudness wars or something to that effect, or it's not about the loudness wars. And essentially all it does is just make your track sound a little bit better in quotations obviously. But this is definitely not the greatest thing because it doesn't even tell you what loudness it's setting it to, nor what loudness is it trying to set it to. On the plus side though, it is affordable, it sounds decent, you could try it for free before paying, and you can also use a reference track with it. Now I wanted to talk about their website really quickly because I think their website is hilarious. So for some reason, all the pictures of the people on the website, they look like they are using online mastering. Maybe they're going for like a realistic effect here, but yeah, this guy does not look happy. I've never seen somebody look less enthusiastic while mastering their song. Maybe it gets better on the rest of the website. Let's take a look. Well, she looks kind of happy. Maybe a little high, but yeah, this guy also looks high, but yeah, he does not look excited. This guy also not looking happy. He looks really mad. He looks like he just used Waves Online Mastering. Not happy, not happy, not happy. So I don't know if this is supposed to get me to want to use it, but so far it's not doing a great job on it. In our next story, Sexy Red is quoted as saying, "My money is my emotional support animal." Her security guards after seeing this. What? In our next story, TikTok and Billboard have teamed up to create the TikTok Billboard Top 50 chart. They could have definitely picked a more creative name in my opinion. So now if you have a song blow up on TikTok, you can say you are a Billboard artist apparently. It will measure songs based on views, engagements, and number of videos using the songs. In our next story, we'll be talking about a free synth plugin with 2 engines that seems great for creating kicks. and bass sounds and lead sounds. It features a glitchy wavetable oscillator and emulation of the supersaw oscillator from the Roland JP8000. I'm not gonna lie, I think this UI is kind of sexy. Maybe I just have a thing for gradients, I don't know. It has 150 presets and I'll link it down below if you want to check it out along with everything else here today. Don't worry, we're not done yet, don't leave. In our next story, KOALA just released a big update. KOALA is one of the best Android/iOS apps that you can use to make beats. It's definitely my preferred app for making beats on a phone. If I'm gonna do so, I'm usually not gonna do that. It's the best for a sample-based workflow, for sure. They built in a full mixer to it as well as adding a bunch of effects, and they added interfaces for all the effects. You can send audio to different buses and mix it however you'd like. Definitely one of the main things KOALA was missing before this. They also said that they will add more effects as time goes on. One suggestion I have for them is when you release an update like this, also update your website. In order to get the update, you have to update it on the App Store, and then you'll be able to purchase the update within the app. The update costs $5. In our next story, we have a new reverb. Yeah, a new one. This one is from a company called Sound Better. What an odd company name. It sounds like a vocal coaching platform where anyone can become a teacher. Butterfly is essentially a reverb for ambient music specifically because of the long textures it creates and some of the features in it. It features 3 high-quality ambient reverb engines, reverse grains, shimmer, and crystals, infinite blur and space, unique musical slow blur buildup, time-synced and MIDI-controlled slow-motion sweeps, playable overtones in the key of the track, built-in ducking to clear room in the mix, and time-synced external sidechain for pumping effects, 8-bit distortion and saturation, tape while flutter and modulation with control for expansive spaces. Blah, 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 blah. You can get it for the intro price of $74 or the full price of $149 eventually. In our next story, Katy Perry sold her music catalog for $225 million. Somebody should tell her this is incredibly unsanitary. In our next story, DistroKid has acquired BANDZOOGLE, which is a website hosting company with a pretty terrible name. BANDZOOGLE services will be merged into DistroKid, which we should all be grateful for because we won't ever have to hear that name again. The aim is to allow artists to create their own e-commerce shops and to create websites. In our next story, AI. Have you heard of AI? Yeah, I knew about this one for a bit, but I was waiting to sprinkle it in there when there wasn't too much AI news because, you know, AI news is really blown the f out at the moment. I'm sick of AI, you're sick of AI, she's sick of AI, everybody's sick of AI. At this point, they should just call it something else. If you're going to promote an AI-based product, call it machine learning. Maybe focus on the other attributes of it. Stop calling it AI. No one wants to talk about AI anymore. Anyway, this one is a text-to-audio sound generator. I know, gross. It is the same company behind Stable Diffusion, so maybe that could be promising. I don't know. Generally, I find these text-to-audio generators pretty lame. Even if I made something great with it for music, I probably wouldn't want to use it just because of how it would make me feel icky. It can also be used to generate sound effects too, though, which I could see being useful as a video editor, so that's nice. It was trained on a data set of 800,000 audio files from a stock music library called Audio Sparks. Stable Audio also has the advantage of being able to create structured musical ideas, thanks to it being trained to account for audio file duration and start time. In addition to musical attributes like genre and instrumentation, this circumvents an issue many AI generators have had, whereby they have created random sections of a song that start or end in the middle of a phrase. That is true, I have heard a lot of AI generators doing that. They will generate an idea and it'll start halfway through it and it just ends randomly. Let's check out some examples. Keep in mind, these are files they have specifically chosen to show us, so they're most likely going to be showing us the most impressive things. I would assume not every result is going to be this good. Okay, death metal power chord guitar riffs, fast metal drums. Oh, I guess that's the best they got. Didn't really sound like power chords to me. This is what old people think metal music sounds like. Okay, lo-fi hip-hop beat, melodic chill hop, 85 BPM. There's like tag stuffing there. It definitely nailed down a bit better, but it's extremely generic. Okay, instruments, 116 BPM rock drums, loop, clean production. very generic, but it could be used. You could probably chop that into a decent loop if you really wanted to. Okay, prompt. An airplane pilot speaking over the intercom. What is he going to be saying? What is the point of making it say something and it's not even speaking words? I feel like it would have made more sense if they like, you know, were like swoosh sound effect or like knocking on wood or something. I don't know. Why are they picking speaking? Because with people talking in a busy restaurant, this will be interesting. Yeah, it reminds me of like aliens speaking in a restaurant. All right, I'm not as impressed as I was hoping I was going to be. It lets you create audio samples up to 20 seconds for free. The paid version costs $11.99 a month and lets you generate up to 500 tracks a month up to a length of 90 seconds. God help whoever does that. I actually may want to test this out though for the memes and just to see what it can do sound effect wise especially. I'll post the testing of that for my patrons, Twitch subs, and channel members. Make sure in the Discord I have a special channel where I post that stuff. In our next story, the POLYBRUTE received a firmware update. The POLYBRUTE is a 6-voice morphing analog synthesizer. They added a new distortion effects mod with 7 different types of distortion, a stereo layer mode allowing you to pan different layers to different sides, powered up the connection between the hardware and the software, more tuning options, as well as 350 new presets. Make sure you go and get that. In our last story of the night, we have short little cautionary tale, I guess, here. We'll be talking about a little copyright battle. And no, it's not mine. So some of you may remember the dubstep artist EMALKAY. He had a pretty huge song about 10 years ago called When I Look at You. Essentially, another artist, a more underground artist named Shim, did a bootleg remix of it, released it recently, which is totally fine. Basically, in underground electronic culture, you're allowed to do bootleg remixes. The thing is, though, the stipulation is you can post it on SoundCloud. You're not allowed to post it to distribution platforms. You don't want people thinking it's an official remix. Usually you label it a bootleg. That's usually how it's done. It's not really about legality. That's just like the general way people consider it to be okay. Nobody's going to take down bootleg remixes from SoundCloud. You post it anywhere else though, not okay. So Shim made a remix of it. He only posted the remix like a few weeks ago. MLK reached out to him asking him to remove it from distribution platforms such as Spotify, and it was fine for him to leave it up on SoundCloud. Anyways, Shim decided to take a hard stance against it for some reason. Mate, you've been credited as the composer and main artist of the track. I don't know why you're moving so salty about a remix that a lot of people anticipated. And basically, since he was being rude about it, copyright owned, but not only on Spotify. I don't know what's going on with the Spotify version, but he got copyright owned on SoundCloud. So the place where he said he could post it originally, he was like, yeah, nah, fuck that, fuck you. So that is today's cautionary tale. Bootlegs, remixes, sampling, do at your own risk, and remember, you are not completely in control of it. Oh yeah, and if you're remixing somebody else's track and they ask you to take it down, you have to comply with it. Okay, we got a bonus thing actually here, guys. I got a free plugin for you. It's a free mastering EQ. It's the Pulsar Audio W495. It's an emulation of the Neumann W495 3-band EQ. It's generally used for mastering. It features a FabFilter S curve and spectrum. Features mid-side options, oversampling, and auto gain. Neumann W495 EQs were used to master 90% of the vinyl records manufactured from the 70s to the 90s. Normally it's $49, but it's free until October 31st. You can get it at the Plugin Boutique distributor. Okay guys, that's it for the music production news tonight. What were your thoughts on this episode of WNN? Let me know down in the comments. For every person who presses a like button on this video, I will give you permission to say the R word. Whichever one you want. Say whichever one you want. You have my permission. I was going to say I'm all of those. I'm not all of those. If you made it to the end of the video, comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out the last episode of WNN. I will link it at the end here, or consider checking out the recent video that I believe was shadow banned. I think it's a good video. I'll see you guys next time.